we have not had a report of yet in the sea to sky, but they're so close to us that I don't see it being far away. So this is the invasive ants. So there's two that I'm going to talk about, but the European fire ant is the first one that started getting a bit of attention from a street in North Vancouver, a very posh street in Deep Cove, where some of the landholders started having these severe problems with invasive ants. So what was happening is that these ants nest in such high densities, in high numbers, that people got to walk outside into their backyard and the ants crawl up their legs and bite them until they move away. The bites are incredibly painful. It can cause anaphylaxis in some people and is a health concern, so it's a health concern, and completely annoying. These people were unable to use their backyards, and one by one they were ripping out their soil and turf and decking over their yards. So it begs the question of where is that soil going and who's getting those ants? And two, this is not sustainable. What happens if this spreads, further than this street? There's a big conversation about land values going down in this neighbourhood too, because who's going to buy a fire ant infested property? This is the current distribution. Once this started becoming a bit more well known, more ants started coming out of the woodwork, but more people started reporting it, and the distribution was started to become more well known. So pretty much the whole of the Lower Mainland has a distribution of fire ants, including the Fraser Valley. They're known from small areas on Vancouver Island and also in Naramata. These ants travel on plants or in soil. So that's how they've spread to other areas of BC. And so the best method of prevention is to check your plants and make sure that they're not crawling with red fire ants. Because if you're moving those plants around the Lower Mainland, you're moving the ants with them. The second species that has been identified in Vancouver is the impressive fire ant. So this has the similar characteristics of the European fire ant in that it will nest in huge densities and has a painful bite, except it's even more of a concern because it can fly. Okay. So this species was found, there were all these bird strikes happening at YVR, and the runway had to be closed a number of times, and they were like, what's happening? Why is there all these bird strikes? And they figured out that this ant was performing its mating flights at the end of the runways, which was attracting a whole bunch of birds, which was then causing all these bird strikes. So they got some researchers in to figure out what is this ant. It turns out to be this invasive ant that was then found at a number of sites across the Lower Mainland and is spreading. So the way to, not that I'm expecting you to ID these ants, but just if you're curious, the way to ID them compared to most native ants is that they have this post petiole, which most of our native ants don't. Some of our native ants do, however, so it's not 100% defining characteristic, but it's a good flag to seek further information if it has that second segment. So if you say it again, sorry?
They're not very big.
No, they're not very big. I'll show you a picture there. That's the kind of size. And what we recommend that you do if you think you have them is they're really attracted to sugars. So if you just put down a candy or a piece of apple or something like that, that will attract them. Then you can put it in screw it shut in a mason jar and send it to me, and I can get an entomologist to do the ID because I'm no ant expert.
Do we have local native ants that bite you that have that thing?
There are native ants that will bite you, but if there's fire ants where you are, you will have to run off the site to avoid being bit.
Because they're so much more aggressive than I
Yeah, if you just have an ant kind of bite you and then that's all, it's probably not fire ants. There'll be masses of them. Yeah. So part of the concern about fire ants was that there wasn't really an accepted well-known way to get rid of them. What was happening is that because the ants have these nest chambers where they're basically like queen escape tunnels, so when people were trying to do things like pour boiling water in the nests or use a tiger torch and apply fire to a nest, or even freezing, the queens were able to escape in these tunnels, and then once that threat, the fire or the water had evaporated or was removed, the queens would just come back in and recolonise. So what was found to work, and this was through some trials at Van Dusen Botanical Gardens who had fire ants, they dug up the nest, applied applied this permethrin to it, which is a readily available insecticide. And then because that insecticide is residual, even if the queens escaped, when they came back in, they were affected by that residual herbicide. So this method of digging and treating with permethrin was having some successes. So just so you know, there is a method that has worked at the property scale. Landscape scale, I'm not sure this would work that well. You might have to tweak it. But yeah, Van Dusen had to close their meditation garden for a number of weeks in the summer last year because they had a huge problem with fire ants. So you can imagine the economic cost that causes to a business like that.
But if you can meditate through fire ants,
You found your inner peace.